this show would not be possible without Logos Radio Network. And, of course, we come to you live every Wednesday and Sunday, 8 to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time on 89.1 FM TXLR on Logos Radio Network. Go to logosradionetwork.com. It is the holiday season, guys, and please donate if you can to keep this listener-supported network running. It's been running for so many years. Keep it running for just as many more and make the world a better place. And don't
Eijah's ready, guys.
Okay. And don't forget Dash.org. They are our sponsor, not just in promoting cryptocurrency, including more information to the public about Dash specifically, but they are our partner and have been our partner in some philanthropic activities that we are also continuing to do into the future with them. So we appreciate their support in that regard. And real quick, since I'm on the topic, let me throw out the Dash news. It's actually a couple days late, but it's okay. It's still relevant. The Crypto Show is brought to you by the original decentralized autonomous organization called Dash, DAO. And in the news, Purse.io, a popular website used by cryptocurrency users to purchase goods from Amazon.com, at a discount usually, announced that the number 2 cryptocurrency behind Bitcoin used for their services was in fact Dash. Purse acts as an escrow service to allow customers to trade Dash for purchases made with Amazon gift cards. This effectively allows anyone to shop on Amazon.com with Dash, sometimes at significant discounts. Dash was once again the number 1 altcoin for November, with Ethereum in second place and Litecoin taking over Ethereum Classic in third place. Online purchasing and retail markets are places where coins like Dash continue to show their improvement in the concept of digital cash for the common man with things like instant authorization. Still far behind Bitcoin in transactional daily averages, Dash is steadily rising to the top of the altcoin market in its real-world usability and adoption. And this has been a Dash of Dash in the news. Check out Dash.org for more info, and don't forget to tune into the Crypto Show for more updates. And thank you, Harlan, for that Dash update. And last thing, CryptoCompare.com, we thank them every Sunday for their weekly wrap-up in crypto news. All right, well, I've already alluded to my guest. He is a frequent guest to the show. He usually comes on, if not solo, with another cool guest that we have on a lot, which is John McAfee.
John something.
John something or other. Real quick, by the way, my friend...
John Jones, maybe. I don't know.
John Jones. My friend actually showed me this card game that he got. It's a political card game from this year for the campaign, and it shows, like, Trump and Hillary and all sorts of other political bigwigs involved in the campaign and just in government. And John McAfee actually has one in there as libertarian candidate. So I thought that was cool. He gave me one of his. But this is one of John McAfee's good friends and cohorts. His name is Eric J. Anderson. He goes by the handle Eijah in the sort of crypto hacking space. And as I said, he's been a guest many times before. His Twitter handle is at @demon_saw. He is the founder of DemoNSAw. And we are here to talk to him about his official launch of DemoNSaw's new product, Enigma. He's also the chief...
that sounds racist.
You racist. Only in your ears, only in your SJW ears, Danny. He is the CTO of MGT Capital Investments and a founder of DemoNSAw, former developer for Grand Theft Auto 5. Eijah, welcome back to the Crypto Show.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to be back. Thank you so much.
No, always a pleasure to have you back on. We are very honored that you would have your official launch for Enigma on our show. And I'm sure most of our listeners are familiar with you, but just in case they aren't, give us a quick rundown above and beyond a little of the bio information I gave of your tech background.
Okay. Well, my only regret for tonight is that I can't be there in person with you guys, but we'll reschedule that for another time. So I'm pretty much just a programmer. I'm just a run-of-the-mill average programmer, C++ programmer, and I like to create things. I like to solve problems. I've done some hacking. I've spoken at DEF CON. I am CTO right now, founded a company or two, but pretty much I'm just like most of the people out there that go to DEF CON and are very technically minded. And I just like problems. So like you guys, I just like to write code. I like to hack a little bit. I just like to have fun. I get bored a lot. So that's my problem. I get really bored, and then I tend to do either amazing or stupid things, depending on who's defining it.
Well, I'm glad that someone like you gets so easily bored, because that means you get antsy to solve problems, like you said, and everyone benefits from that. And were you, when you regretted not being here in person, were you planning on being in Austin?
Well, it's just a quick plane flight away. So I know last time we spoke, you guys extended an invite to me, and I thought about it, but with the holiday here and everything going on, and the Enigma launch, and a lot of the exciting things coming up next year for DemoNSAw and some of the other stuff we're working on, I just couldn't arrange it. But you know what? Let's try next time. I'd love to be there. It's been a few years since I've been to Austin. Last time I went, I think, was 4 or 5 years ago. I went to South by Southwest. I have a couple friends in the area. I saw Duran play, so maybe it was longer than 4 or 5 years. But if I saw Foo Fighters and Duran play that night, which was totally different. But it was a lot of fun. So I need to go back out.
You really do. I mean, so much in Austin has changed in just the past 4 or 5 years. There are like twice as many buildings downtown, and South by is like 3 times the size of what it was 5 years ago. Almost not an exaggeration. But yeah, I mean, whether it's South by or ACL, there's so many cool bands that come here. I forgot about that. Duran was still touring recently. Good for them. I love the comeback of the 80s bands. That's the way it should be. Well, but yeah, you're always welcome here. And for the time being, where we are doing the show out of is a house with many rooms that we're essentially doing a crypto B&B type thing. So you could always stay here if you needed to.
But they don't accept dollars. You have to pay in crypto, so you'll have to get some Bitcoin from someone.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, hope that's not a big deal, Eijah. He's like, crypto? What?
No. We can manage that. Well, thank you guys for the invite. I'll definitely take you up on it.
Absolutely. And you need to, if you do come, you need to bring John McAfee with you, because I have always wanted to party with that guy.
And I've got an extra jar of bath salts here in the studio.
And you're going to get at least 2 or 3. At least 2 or 3.
You can tell that they have more than just a professional relationship. They've gone out partying together if he knows that kind of information. Well, unfortunately, we are coming to break. But in a way, it's a good thing, because it just builds the suspense for the announcement of Eijah's new project. And we'll get to that here on the other side of the break. So stay tuned. It's some really exciting stuff. And as I was talking about toward the beginning of the segment, it is going to be one of those groundbreaking things in the fight for privacy, especially amidst government intrusion. But of course, there's plenty of other private actors who are trying to get your information as well. So stay tuned. We'll find out more about Enigma from Eijah, Eric J. Anderson, on the other side.
Okay, we're going to try to get you back on Skype now, okay?
All right, Eric.
Eijah, calling you now.
Okay, guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, oh, that's a lot better.
All right.
Yeah,
There we go. Okay.
There we go. All right. Oh, we did it. Go team.
Yeah.
Go team.
Excellent.
You mean-
sorry about that.
You mean
craziness.
you can create a video game and you can't call someone on Skype? What the hell?
You know what is you always need to keep a 10-foot Ethernet cable lying around, or 16-foot, because you never know when you're going to need it.
Yeah.
That's really true. When we did a show for the free Rossathon, I had to go grab an Ethernet cable and a switch last second for us to do it. So
we went to
true.
New York. We had like a couple hundred feet of it, and we were still short.
Was that true?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. You're right. I forgot about that, because in that back room. Yeah.
It's funny. I'm using the one that came free with my first Xbox 360, the ones that overheated.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
it's like I still have it, and it looks brand new. So clearly, it was well spent money by Microsoft.
Wow. It's retro. It's a vintage item. You should.
Definitely.
If you don't need it anymore, sell it on eBay. You'll get buku money.
Yeah, I'll sell it for Bitcoin, and then I can stay with you guys.
There you go. Yeah, you got to come to Austin, man.
Definitely. This whole night just happened so quickly. If we had a little bit more time, I would have totally taken a trip out for a couple nights. I've got a good friend there that I used to work with at American Express, and it would have been a perfect time to do it. But it's okay. Let's do something next year before DEF CON, because things are going to ramp up before DEF CON, and I'd love to come out there maybe June or something, maybe May, June.
You should come in March during South by for the tech, for the interactive.
Ooh, that would be cool. Okay, all right, let's do it. Yeah.
Well, either one you're able to make, would be great, and we'll take you out in the town and provide get you some reasonable lodgings, and
very cool.
Have a lot of fun. All right.
Very cool. Yeah, and I might even be able to crash with my friend. But either way, I won't sleep under a bridge. The town's too nice for that.
Yeah.
That's part of the adventure, though.
Yeah, but we have the nicest bridges in the South, so.
Well, it's all those local inner city tolls. They pay for the best bridges. If I ever would turn tricks under a bridge, it would be in Austin.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey guys, we got to get on the air. The bumper's playing.
Did you record that last part?
Yeah.
Okay, make sure.
No, I don't record the audio on the break. I should though, because some of the best stuff is discussed.
Oh, I agree. All right, bring us back then.
Here we go.
Welcome back, guys, to the second segment of the Crypto Show here on December 21st, 2016. Brought to you as always by Logos Radio Network, CryptoCompare.com, Dash, and Hill Country Home Improvements.
Brondo, the Thirst Annihilator.
The electrolytes for your plants, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I want to make a commercial and just play that. Just advertise Brondo.
Nice. That's the one what was it? Trailer Park Boys.
No, Idiocracy.
No, I know. The one non-Trailer Park Boys reference you've made.
Oh, yeah.
I think. But anyway, we are getting back to our guest, Eric J. Anderson Eijah, here to talk to us about his new project, Enigma. Of course, the background to Enigma is his company, DemoNSAw. Now, Eijah, before we get to Enigma proper, tell us, for listeners who, again, have not heard your previous appearances, tell us about DemoNSAw, why you founded it, what it's all about, and take us there.
Sure. Well, it was really when we were finishing up GTA 5. I was living in Scotland for about 9 months. We were getting ready to ship the PS3 and the 360 version. So this was back in 2011 or whenever that game shipped. And I got a little bored. And once again, when I get bored, I usually do amazing or stupid things, or both. And so I was sitting around Edinburgh, and there was a pub on every corner. Literally, you walk out, within 30 feet, you're getting so drunk you can barely walk. And that's all people do. They work and they get drunk. And that might sound like perfect or perfection for most of us. Heaven, yeah, it's heaven on earth. It is for the first 6 months. And then you realize you might be developing a problem. And so you look for other things to advance your career and other things. Like if you want to continue dating and things like that, usually you shouldn't get so that you're drooling drunk at the end of the night.
Unless you can find a codependent alcoholic too. Anyway, go ahead.
That's what I'm missing in life right now. So I was there and I was bored, and being the geek and the engineer that I am, I started thinking about just how it sucked to be in Edinburgh, one of the most beautiful historic cities in all of Europe. And I'd seen the castle, I'd sightseen, I saw the Highlands, I saw the hairy cows, and all the wonderful things you see when you're in Scotland, the kilts and whatnot. And there was just nothing more to see. And so I thought, well, I wish I could watch a movie. I wish I could listen to my MP3 collection. And I realized I was almost a prisoner, an electronic prisoner. I had no access to all my content. And then I started thinking about the problem even more, and I thought, Dropbox wants to charge me money. I had a Dropbox account, and I thought, I'll just download a bunch of stuff. I'll just put it on my Dropbox share, and, I'll watch it when I want. Well, then I ran out of space. Dropbox gave me my 0.5 gigs at that time, begging me to refer my friends to their evil society. And I realized, okay, I'll just upgrade. I'm sure it's not that much money. They wanted $100 to upgrade to like a terabyte a year. And I looked at them and I thought, that's that's not cool, Dropbox. And so I thought about the problem more, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to build something that allows people not to have to use your crappy software. And I was bored anyway, so thus began DemoNSAw, thus began the file sharing privacy application that it has become. And as we've evolved down this path, I realized there's an even bigger problem that we need to solve, and that is this centralization nightmare of everybody moving everything, all of our data, to this quote-unquote cloud, where hackers hack it, steal our information, and companies are not held liable or responsible for that. And so, but there's a whole nother problem, and that is this only distributed focus right now that says everything must be peer-to-peer. Well, to be honest, I don't want people accessing my machines. I don't want them knowing about my IP address. I want my anonymity. And I realized there was a kind of happy middle of the road that nobody was shooting for. And I decided to do it. I decided I don't want to belong to a Freenet or a MaidSafe or an Ethereum or a blockchain where everything is stored forever. I want to come online. I want my anonymity, I want my privacy, I want my security handled by me in a decentralized network, and then I want to turn it off, and I want no record, no logs forever. I don't want my everything I do logged in a blockchain. Now, there are times for that. There's definitely times for the blockchain. There's times for the cloud. But most of the time, I don't need either. And there was nothing there that fit the need. So I created it.
That's pretty cool. And, I can't emphasize enough, nor can you, that it's about balance depending on your needs. You're right. I mean, a permanency of record, a blockchain, transparency, all those things are good when needed, but they're not always needed for each individual person or group or for any particular task. So sometimes you need the opposite sort of aspects to technology as well. And so I definitely agree. Sometimes there's too much of an emphasis on one side of the coin and not the other. So I think that's a really good point to bring to bear. And so also, just as a quick little aside, previous listeners would know, but of course, DemoNSAw is a jab at the NSA, right? Since
right.
Contained within the word is NSA.
Right. Yeah, that was a joke. I launched DemoNSAw. The first version 1.0 was atrocious, and I'll be the first one to slam that. It was a prototype. It was a work in progress, but it was nowhere near the version we have now, 3.0, which is nowhere near what we're launching in 6 months, 4.0. But it was a step in the right direction. So I thought it would be funny if I put the letters NSA inside the name of a secure and anonymous communications program and file sharing app and launched it on the stage at DEF CON 22 in front of almost 2,500 people, just to see, tongue-in-cheek, if anyone would know. And nobody knew. Nobody even knew for over a year. I had to create a T-shirt, and I had to basically put that on the back, and I won't reveal what the T-shirt said because there are multiple words that I can't say on the air. But I had to highlight NSA and DemoNSAw a year later in order for people just to understand that it can be in plain sight right in front of our nose and we can totally miss it. And that's what's happening with privacy right now. That's what's happening with governments and corporations. They're taking away our most fundamental rights to privacy and free speech and freedoms and liberties, and we don't even see it happening. Technologies like the blockchain, technologies like MaidSafe, like DemoNSAw, like Enigma are going to break down this wall that's been closing in on us for almost 2 decades now, and it's going to set us free. But it's a sad state of affairs that we don't even know we're being imprisoned.
Yeah, and why do you say we don't even know we're being imprisoned? Like, to what extent? I mean, I agree with you, but I want you to elaborate on what you mean for our listeners.
Well, what companies and governments have done, and this is really, you have to respect their efforts because it's brilliant, it's genius. What they've done is they've created this thing called the cloud. And businesses love the cloud because supposedly it gives them higher ROI or return on investment. It lowers their cost. It allows them to outsource, which is a tax write-off. It does all these really good business things. And it makes them make more money, basically. And customers believe they love the cloud, consumers, because it's so convenient. But the real benefactors of the cloud are companies and governments. Companies make tons of money because we give them our data and they charge us to hold on to it. And governments love the cloud because they can backdoor companies and monitor and pull metadata and monitor our communications without even telling us, or without even companies having to violate their privacy policies that we sign and agree to establish service with them. So the two main groups that benefit from the cloud are companies and governments. The lie that we've been told is that the cloud gives us convenience, and it does. But we can get that same level of convenience without giving up our privacy and our information. And that's why we've been deceived. That's why we've been duped, is we think that's the only path to convenience, but it's not. Look at what Bitcoin's doing. Look at what the blockchain's doing. And look at what Ethereum's doing. Look at what all these distributed and decentralized technologies are doing, what BitTorrent's done the last 10 years. We don't need to put our information centralized to get that same level of convenience. So that's why I say that they've done a great job imprisoning us. The more we give up our data, the less control we have over that, and the more we are defined by the summation of the data that's collected by these third parties.
No, very well said. It's convenience, but at a cost, but that cost need not be there. And while it's nice to have backups or sort of networked information and that sort of fluidity, it does have a downside, and that's a very good point. And we're coming to break with Eijah talking about DemoNSAw and his new project Enigma. We'll get to that on the other side.
Very cool.
Yeah, my phone is using it is recording, so I can't use the thing there, the app.
Eric, or Eijah, this is Deborah. I want to ask you something real quick while we're on break.
Sure.
Do you know who Catherine Albrecht is?
The name sounds familiar, but I can't.
She's a technology privacy advocate. She wrote the book Spy Chips, and she's coming at it. She comes at it from a consumer perspective. Anyways, what the kind of stuff you're talking about, I think that she would love to have you as a guest on her show. And
Okay.
She's nationally syndicated. She's on the Genesis Communications Network. My network is Logos, but the Genesis and Logos both are on the same affiliate here in Austin, 89.1, and she's a really good friend of mine. And so if you're interested, I'll tell her about you, because I think that you would get a lot of exposure for what you're doing, and it would help a lot of people for you to get on the show.
Oh, you haven't even
that would be great.
You haven't even heard about the app yet, Deb. Wait, just wait.
Yeah. So Eric, can I maybe
Deb,
get contact info from Danny later?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll give you all that.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
great.
great. Right, I'm going to turn the show back over to Rick now. Thanks, Eric.
Just take his. I'll give you his phone number because Deb doesn't do Twitter or Facebook or any of that stuff. So
not really, no, not yet. I mean, maybe someday, but I'm like Eijah. I stay out of that stuff because I don't want people to know anything about me.
Great. Well, thank you, Deb. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'll let y'all go. But yeah, give me his email. I'll do email and exchange phone numbers. I do texting. I have Signal. I use the Signal app.
Well, you'll have to just go to Eijah.com and download that app, and then you can get rid of Signal.
Oh, okay. All right. That sounds great. Yeah, I can't wait to hear about his app. I remember you were on the show a few months ago, and you sent like a 3 or 4 paragraph chat about the stuff that you were doing, and like an explanation, and it was really incredible.
Thank you. Yeah,
you were. Yeah, this was like. I have it pulled up here. I need to go back and read it again. You basically just summarized what the DemoNSAw platform is.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I'm really impressed because I'm kind of a tech head myself too. I haven't done programming for a long time, but I do programming, and I build and repair computers and stuff like that. So I'm always interested to hear what other techs are having to say about this sort of thing.
Great. Well, thank you.
Okay, all right, I'll let you guys go.
All right, you ready?
All right, yeah, thanks, Deb. Bring us back when you're ready. Welcome back, guys. Our third segment on this lovely December 21st, 2016 here on Logos Radio Network. We're talking with Eric J. Anderson, or Eijah. His Twitter handle is at @demon_saw. DemoNSAw, of course, being his company name with NSA in it. And we'll get to his new project, Enigma, here momentarily. I do have 2 to 3 quick questions for you before we do.
You know, it really wasn't a dig at the NSA. It was, it was homage to them because they are the only part of government that listens.
Eric was
That is correct.
It warms my heart. Thank you, NSA. I cherish you for being so sympathetic.
Yes.
Always have an ear to lend. So we were talking about the cloud, and a couple quick questions. You sort of almost say it, I feel, but do you feel the cloud, in a sense, was dually a technologic advancement towards convenience, as well as a sort of Trojan horse by corporations or government to get our information? And then, you talk about how the government can use it for backdoors to get our information. Does the cloud itself as a system have particular technologic vulnerabilities unique to it, or is it, or what would you say?
Well, for the first question is, I'm only speculating. Obviously, I wasn't there when whoever invented the cloud. Cloud is just this new way of thinking, this new way of consolidating data. It wasn't like a birthing that happened and suddenly the cloud appeared. It was this evolution of technologies and ideas that happened for consolidating and pulling together services and selling those like an AWS to companies. It was a new business model. It was a new business model that was ushered in after big data and business intelligence became a thing in the late 90s and early 2000s. So I would love to believe that the cloud was driven by the ability to make money. And I think that's probably how it came about. Companies said, we do big data good, or we do services, web services really, really good. And maybe we could do it well and then sell it to other companies because we have server capacity, network capacity that we underutilize sometimes, and maybe we could resell that and increase our budget or increase our revenue. So I think that's how it came about. But what happened after that is a waterfall effect, and that was companies amassed large and large amounts of data, and cloud became this very cool thing where terminals or thin clients happened again. So we could use our Dropbox apps, and we could use our other cloud apps like our Google Drives and our Apple Drives and whatnot, and we could simply have interfaces into large server farms where all of our data is stored and backed up and made redundant and versioned and etc. And because customers said, this is really cool because I can get that PDF on my phone, I can get it on my laptop, I can get it on my desktop. And then it became extremely profitable. And everybody got into it because the cloud was the next big thing. And businesses, once again, justified it because of ROI and all those reasons we talked about before. Then came the Trojan horse, and that was the government. Then the government came by and said, you know what, Microsoft, Apple, Google, it'd be really cool for you if you just kind of opened up a couple of ports on some of your back-end systems and allowed us to just monitor, metadata, or install this black box, across your server farms and just let us sniff traffic. And that was such a subtle little thing. Maybe they got a tax credit. Maybe they were forced into it. Maybe they received an NSL. And something happened, and a foot was placed in the door, and then the door was kicked open. And we were never notified of it.
So I was told by somebody who actually worked for AT&T that part of what they were getting in return from the government for letting the government just snoop through everything they had was more bandwidth to have a larger network. So,
like
you would get more bandwidth.
Statutory limitation,
right?
It was lifted, or you mean technological?
They could set up more networks for cable and phone, and they would have a bigger network than their competitors by offering this up.
I believe it. I mean, the power to regulate is the power to destroy, as Reagan said. I hate to quote Reagan because he was a hypocrite, but it's also the power to lend favors like that. That's a very good point. No, good point, Eijah. I mean, it was sort of an organic development, and it's not, it's a chicken and egg thing, but we don't need to necessarily speculate as to whether it was intentionally, devised to have a Trojan horse backdoor, or whether the government just comes along and takes advantage of every new development, which of course they do. So either way, the writing's on the wall as far as the real and potential vulnerability. Well, before we get directly to Enigma, one more question. I know we've touched on it before, but I think it's such a cool thing that you brought up that, in a sense, everybody knows. It's both the highest tech and lowest tech, oldest and newest kind of crypto in a way, and related to DemoNSAw. So I want you, for our new listeners, to explain it. But social cryptography, I think it's such a cool concept. If we could get into that for just a moment.
Sure, absolutely. Social crypto was this term that I coined. I don't want to say invented because those words existed before I was born, but it was this term that I coined while living in Edinburgh, Scotland, drinking a lot of Guinness. A lot of Guinness was consumed by me especially. And it was this description of the fact that society is moving toward a social interaction, a primary social interaction path. So most of our interaction online is through social networks right now. If you think about how you use the web right now, especially the younger generation, the millennials, and my 6-year-old nephews right now, when they use the web, it's only through social networks. They don't log in their 401k accounts. Very few millennials do that. I mean, you might, but the majority percentage of the use cases are social interaction. So when you think of how everybody uses the internet, it's no longer about client-server. It's no longer even about peer-to-peer. It's about group-to-group. And I also was watching Hackers one day because I finally managed to get some of my movies in Scotland, thank God. And I was, enjoying my time not becoming an alcoholic. And I was watching Hackers, and there was that one scene when Acid Burn has a phone call from prison with the Phantom Freak. He's arrested by the feds, and he says, "It's in that one place where I put that thing that time." And I was listening to that, I was thinking, oh my God, I'm like, that's it. That's the key to, the context is the key to entropy, to having large amounts and large sources of entropy that can only be revealed through strong social engineering. And now social engineering is possible, but it takes a lot of time and effort versus simply sniffing a network cable. So it was that scene from Hackers that made me think, if I know something and you know something and we have a moment in time that we share, I can give you the context without revealing the detail, and from that we can drive strong amounts of entropy that we can feed into trusted and traditional proven cryptographic routines to derive keys and hashes, etc. So it's really just where we get our entropy, and that's through context. And that context links to something that we can either file or a web address or something that has ones and zeros that we can then feed into a cryptographic routine.
Yeah, it's such a cool thing because it's so simple and easy. And you're right, it's just dependent upon the unique shared experiences, say, of two people or of a group that is limited to that group essentially and can be vaguely alluded to, yet can click in the minds of the others in that group simultaneously to know exactly what you're talking about. And I guess to some, in an imperfect, analogous way, websites are kind of doing that, where you'll sign up for your bank account and they'll ask you 5 personal questions and you answer it, and then sometimes they'll ask you those questions: what's your favorite movie? What was your first dog? Kind of thing. Imperfect versions of that, of course. Not nearly as suitable, but just as a sort of example of what is out there in that regard. But yeah, it's just such a really cool mechanism, and that's and remind me, that's being incorporated into DemoNSAw.
Yes. So social crypto was part of the original DemoNSAw 1.0 in the form of just really reading in a file, and then I broke open the doors with social crypto in DemoNSAw 2. I let you use a file or any online content, so a URL. It could be a web page. It could be an image online. With DemoNSAw 3, I took it yet one step further, and I allowed you to use passphrases as well. So it can be a combination of any of these, as many of them as you want, in a very specific order that creates rolling ciphers that encrypt, and then the reverse of that will decrypt our communications. So literally, you and I could go to Starbucks, different Starbucks, the same Starbucks, doesn't matter. Get on their insecure public Wi-Fi, and through one or two things that only you and I know about, we can establish very, very secure. It's almost like a peer-to-peer encrypted VPN, although our IP addresses are never revealed. So it's a real-time dynamic.
We're coming
VPN.
to break. Sorry to interrupt. We'll be back on the other side. Sorry about that.
You guys got this. No problem. You guys got this timing really good.
Well, that's because we see the clock and you don't.
Okay, so you see, it's like a countdown timer to the Death Star firing. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was looking for basically. I was looking for your logo, and I Googled Enigma on Google Images, and I think I've seen about 3, 4, maybe 5 of those E's where it's the M turned sideways. That's like a Roman E, right? Or,
yeah, it's a sigma, so it's it's a mathematical.
Yeah. Right. Okay. And somebody when we were tweeting out the show today, somebody sent me a bunch of stuff about. Hey, look, he stole the emblem from Google. They didn't even say Google Mail; they said Hotmail. And it's not. It was the Gmail. If you turn the Gmail symbol sideways,
the envelope, yeah, but
but the M. Right. If you turn it sideways, it looks like a sigma. It looks just like the E in his.
Oh, well, right.
Yeah,
right.
It's a Greek symbol, sigma. Mm-hmm. So if I stole it, then I'm sure Google stole it as well.
Right.
No, I've seen it before. Like I've seen 18-wheelers. Like there's like a sigma.
Yeah.
Logistics, and it's like a sigma, and they form a cube out of it. Kind of cool looking.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't something that a lot of people use sigmas, but I definitely did not intend to steal it or borrow it. I mean, the reason why I grabbed the sigma was because it looks like an E for my name, and it also the middle of it. If you notice where I broke off the top and the bottom, it looks like a command prompt to a Linux, some SSH terminal or something.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how I bring in the icon for chat here in Enigma. There's a little. Yep. It's really the middle part of that sigma, and it's pointing us forward. So it's taking us into the the next generation.
I mean, and even if it was a ripoff of Gmail, who cares? It's like a poke in the eye at Gmail. So
right, yeah, it's definitely not anything that copyright.
People get worked up over little
look what he
trivial
did.
Things. Yeah.
Well, okay. They said it's criminal. They're stealing. He's stealing, and it's criminal. I'm like, you're stealing from
that?
Yeah, you're stealing. It's from Google. You're stealing from Google. You're talking to the wrong person.
Yeah. I'm sure Google is like the bully in the playground. Right. I'm this skinny little 60-pound kid who can barely has the energy to tie his shoes in the morning.
I think we have music. Do we have music?
Yeah, we're coming back.
Okay.
No, but good analogy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll bring us back, Deb, when you're ready.
Actually, Rick, but yeah.
Oh,
here we go.
Hey, Rick.
How's it going, guys? Here we go.
We'll call you what we want to call you.
Oh,
that's right. Welcome back, guys, to the Crypto Show. We're talking with Eric J. Anderson Eijah of DemoNSAw. He was just giving us a rundown of a cool concept incorporated into DemoNSAw, which is social cryptography. You've all done it without knowing it and not knowing what it was, but anytime, like he said, that example from hackers where, remember the time when I did this and that and you did that? That's as abstract and vague as that was, that's a form of social cryptography. And it's a really neat idea. And, it's something where someone would essentially have to hack your brain to really break it. Well, let's get into the reason why we're here. We had a pretty good prologue there as a run-up to talking about the launch of his new product, Enigma. Now, Eijah, tell us about Enigma. First of all, is it an homage to the Nazis? No, I'm just kidding. I mean, was it?
No, it's not an homage to the Nazis.
What I mean to say,
I have been watching that Hunting Hitler show on the History Channel. That's pretty interesting. So maybe part of that fed into my mind, but no, it's an homage to the Enigma machine, which is the encryption machine devised by the Nazis in World War II. So
sorry, that's what I meant to say. That's the way I should have phrased it. Sorry, but no, I figured that's what it was an allusion to, and yeah, I mean, as I'm sure you know, and our listeners may or may not know, it was considered uncrackable. It was a very advanced machine, but the American cryptographers managed to break it, right, if I'm correct?
Yep, that's correct. I think it was, oh God, I hate to be put on the spot. I thought it was Alan Turing, right? Although,
I think you're right,
if I get this wrong, okay, if I get that wrong, people are going to send me hate mail. But yeah, that was Alan Turing. I didn't see the newest Alan Turing movie, or I would, not doubt it all. But yeah, if I recall my history class, then yeah, he was on the team and helped do it. Brilliant man.
Who wasn't someone famous? Didn't someone famous play him in the new movie? I never saw it, but I remember kind of when it came out.
To be honest, I only remember who Matt Damon plays. I just got to throw that out there.
Wow, so Jason Bourne was there with Alan Turing and the team of American cryptographers. No wonder they were able to beat the Nazis.
That would have went down a little differently if Jason Bourne were there.
I know. I wish they should combine those two movies.
Yeah. What's the password?
I still haven't seen the latest Jason Bourne. I need to. Well, tell us about Enigma. Cool name to begin with. I imagine cool functionality as well. So tell us.
Thank you. Well, I'll throw this out. 6 weeks ago, Enigma did not exist. In fact, the idea of Enigma did not even exist. I did not set out to create another secure communication app for the phone. It just happened 6 weeks ago. I was sitting there talking to John McAfee. He was visiting the office, and he was sharing some, very troubling, very disturbing information about some of his friends from, the North Dakota situation with the pipeline, and just how the Native Americans were having their communications eavesdropped on. And this is a true story. This is not, this is not me, fictionalizing it at all. This is true. And I thought that he said, I need your help, Eijah. And I said, okay, put me on the phone with their chief. And we were talking, and he reached out and he said, what secure communication apps can we use on our computers and we use on our phones to stop the federal government from eavesdropping? And I was like, well, there's a lot of decent, secure apps out there for the phones, but they're also not on desktops. And the ones that are may do voice, they may not do text, and it was just kind of all over the map. And so we gave him what advice we could. But I realized in that moment, I said, you know what? All of those apps out there require centralization. They all require, even if they have end-to-end encryption, you still go through their infrastructure. You still go through their servers, even if they delete the messages, even if they end-to-end encrypt it and they can't decrypt it, we're still using their infrastructure. And so what happens as a result of this? Well, what Egypt has done is exactly what happens. Egypt blocks signal. Oh, why? Because it's centralized. There's an infrastructure that all your apps go through. What I've done with DemoNSAw is I've kind of broken that model. I'm in stasis somewhere between centralization and a distributed network. I have a decentralized app that does not require any given infrastructure. So 6 weeks ago, I sat down with John and I said, you know what? I can create a better secure app that is based off of DemoNSAw that allows anybody anywhere to host their own infrastructure. Because what we want to do as companies is not put companies in a place where they can't be replaced. Companies try to set themselves up as providing a service, so we'll continue to use them and pay them, and they'll monetize the total number of customers that they have. Look at WhatsApp with its overvaluation purchase to Facebook, or purchased by Facebook. As you collect users and you become important and users keep coming back, you can mine their metadata, you can show them ads, you can abuse that relationship. What we want is we want companies to create great software again, like we did in the 90s and the early 2000s, and not be required as an infrastructure component. So with Enigma, there is no Egypt censoring and blocking it. You can go host your own infrastructure right now, and you can have secure end-to-end encrypted chats over your own environment, your own servers, and no country can block that. Imagine a million or 10 million of those networks being set up. Good luck blocking that, Egypt. You can't.
Wow, pretty incredible. I'm glad you brought up Egypt. I was going to ask you about.
And also, it was kind of the same thing happened with WhatsApp in Brazil as well, right? Brazil, I think Brazil had tried to shut down WhatsApp because of
right.
Because
Did they?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see, and we see this more and more. And it's not just the traditional regimes, the bad guys as we call them, the Irans and North Koreas, and it's China. It's not just the common people that we blame as oppressive regimes. It could be Bolivia. It could be Mexico. It could even be our own country. Anytime, yeah, what? Really? Anytime a country has the ability to abuse power for its own good, it will do so. It's just a matter of time. We see it more with the third world countries because their form of abuse is more visible at the from the citizen's standpoint. But every country is guilty of abuse of powers, and every country is guilty of overstepping its bounds. It's just a matter of time before our country does the same thing and justifies shutting down whatever application or whatever infrastructure. So the solution to all this is to build out an option where people can be free and have their privacy protected and be anonymous and not rely on anyone's infrastructure, whether it's mine or whether it's any company's.
Pretty awesome. And yeah, like you said, if to use Signal or other encrypted end-to-end messaging platforms, you still have to go through their infrastructure, their servers. Obviously, that's a weak point. That's a middle point that can be shut down. They can get your metadata and abuse that knowledge. But so you're saying with Enigma, you can host your own infrastructure. I guess get into a little bit, if you can, explain. Hopefully without getting too technical, how does that work? How do you host your own infrastructure? You also talk on your Twitter, relatedly, the solution isn't censorship circumvention. It's decentralization. 1 million private networks will bring about freedom. How do the private networks work? How does the infrastructure on your own phone work?
Well, it's the simplest way of probably explaining it is Enigma is based off of the DemoNSAw architecture, so it uses the same server-side components that DemoNSAw does, what we call routers. A DemoNSAw router is pretty much just like an internet router, and what it does is it forwards packets. It doesn't inspect them, it doesn't look at them, it doesn't decrypt them, it just kind of forwards stuff along. And that creates this layer of abstraction between the end node or the users, where one user doesn't know the IP because they're always being rerouted in the same way that we browse a web page, and we don't necessarily know we don't necessarily know where other people browsing the web page and what they're doing at the same time. So what you would do, and by the way, we're adding a page to the Eijah.com website tomorrow that's going to be a very, very high-level tutorial on how people can host their own infrastructure really, really quickly for Egypt or for any other reason. But what you do is you download the DemoNSAw zip or tar.gz. You simply untar it or you unzip it. There's a binary called DemoNSAw_CLI. You put it in some folder, just that one binary. You configure a DemoNSAw.toml or a TOML file. There's 4 or 5 lines that specify what IP it's going to bind to, what port it's going to listen on, that sort of stuff. You start the command line binary, and it acts as a web server. And so all of Enigma's communications are securely sent over, in essence, DemoNSAw routers, which acts pretty much as relaying web servers is all they do. They just kind of forward packets. And you can control the end-to-end crypto. You can, for $5 a month, you can go get a VPS, a private server from Vultr or DigitalOcean, and for $5 a month, you can host your own end-to-end encrypted network that you control. Or you can host 10 of them or 100 of them spread all around the world. And if Egypt happens to block one of the IPs, you switch to the next one. That's why a centralized infrastructure is a flawed design and a flawed architecture, is because it's so easy to shut down. How you know that something is flawed is because creative solutions are made to circumvent.
20 seconds.
In the case of, and I can go more in detail of that when we get back from the break, but that's how you know something's flawed, is people get creative.
Interesting. That's how you know it's flawed. People get creative. I like that. Well, get more into that, if you would. On the other side, we're talking with Eijah, Eric J. Anderson, about DemoNSaw's new Enigma messaging system. We'll be right back.
So there's an island somewhere, I forget what, one of the Caribbean islands or something, and they're using something similar to WhatsApp, and they're basically, each phone acts as a relay. Do you know what I'm talking about, Eijah?
Yeah, like a MeshNet technology,
Yeah, it's
right?
a MeshNet technology, and I forget what, something Garden was the name of what they were using there. And so the island doesn't have a phone network, and they're communicating it all over the island by using their cell phones as basically routers.
Right.
And we were also kind of wondering also, is this like Tor? The way that the way you're sending the packets along unseen. And
It's moving in that direction. DemoNSAw 4 is going to have a replacement for Tor built into it that's going to allow you to exit at nodes that are part of your private groups. So you'll enter into cryptographically created dynamic real-time private groups like you do with Enigma and like you do with DemoNSAw now.
Right.
You'll be able to route traffic through those other clients in your group, just like Tor exit nodes right now. But you'll be able to control those. So I never started out thinking I was going to create a replacement for secure messaging or a replacement for Tor or a replacement for VPN, but it just kind of happened. And that's where DemoNSAw is really moving is, well, might as well do it all, right?
Yeah. Hey, if you want, I don't know, I guess, there's a lot of people kind of monitoring this on Twitter. If you want to take do you want to take any phone calls or no?
I mean, we can. I mean, are we here for the full 2 hours?
Yeah, if you want. Yeah, we didn't.
Sure.
I was going to have John come in. John didn't make it down. He's like down a little west of San Antonio, or make it up from here. He's like 100 miles away. He was going to come and he didn't make it. He's got a couple of questions. Hey, I forwarded you the email I sent you. That was 2 questions from John.
Okay. Yeah, let's bring in John and let's take some questions. That'll be fun.
Oh no, he just emailed them to me written.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was going to be on the show actually in person.
Yeah, he was actually going to come here. He comes down here every once in a while and sits in with us.
Nice. It's that Airbnb you guys offer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But anyway, I told him, if we want, we could tweet it out or whatever for people to call in.
That'd be cool. I'd love to take some questions.
It's 512-646-1984, like the movie or book, whichever you want to call.
Can you guys send that to me in the Skype chat or DM to me?
I will Twitter I'll send it to you on Twitter.
What are you sending?
The phone number, the call-in number. Hopefully we won't get that cunt.
Yeah.
No, somebody actually that was their Twitter thing, cunt something, and they were that's the troll that was sending me messages about DemoNSAw and Enigma. It looks too much like the mail. So, what's the timeline for voice?
That's a really good question. To be honest, I don't know. Right now I'm kind of slating it for DemoNSAw 5, which is going to be a year from July. But I never imagined I would create a secure messenger app either. Yeah, it's funny how things change.
Yeah. How long until voice, and would that be a lot? Is there a lot of detail and work that goes into it or whatever?
That's a good question, yeah. Good question. I like those.
All right, Rick. Bring us back when you're ready. Can't be trusted, which is why you should use things like Enigma for secure end-to-end communication. And secure end-to-end communication that relies on your own infrastructure, not on somebody else's.
That's not the only thing that can't be trusted.
What's that?
Chris here around some French fries.
That's for sure. I still maintain McDonald's are the best. I don't care. And I'm not partial to McDonald's for any other reason. But
I'm not leaving my French fries around you for sure.
Well, wherever they're from, I'll eat them. I'll tell you that, and I'll still enjoy them. Well, we're talking with Eric J. Anderson, Eijah, of DemoNSAw, about Enigma. And before we get to some additional questions, we were kind of cut off by the break there, Eijah. You were going to give us some further elaboration on how the infrastructure, self-infrastructure and networking aspect of Enigma works, and go ahead with that.
Okay. So one of probably, I think this is probably one of my finest quotes. I've had many bad quotes, and some of my friends here and some of the DemoNSAw community members will tell you most of my quotes are really bad and borderline disastrous. But something I said back in DEF CON 25, for the first time I was on stage at a hackers conference, I said the following. I said, inadequacy breeds innovation. And what I meant by this is I was looking at the landscape of products that were now becoming more and more popular, cybersecurity related products, VPNs, proxies, Tor networks, distributed anonymizing networks. And I realized those products were coming out and being created because they were indication that something was wrong. There was an inadequate situation going on that needed innovation above and beyond. The problem was peer-to-peer. The problem was the de-anonymizing effect that torrents and peer-to-peer networks were having to force us to re-anonymize our IP addresses, prevent DMCA notices from happening, prevent being hacked, prevent doxing occurring. The same has happened with even secure messaging applications like Signal and hosted infrastructures. Just today, I think, or yesterday, they released a patch that allowed Signal users to circumvent Egypt's ability to ban the application. Where's the problem with that? The problem with that is that innovative patch, that innovative solution, shouldn't even be necessary. And it's only necessary because of the centralized infrastructure that's required to run that network. The moment we realize that the future of technology involves a million little isolated infrastructure components that can live in and among themselves, can come and go as they please, and form this big monolithic network, like a mesh network, but non-peer-to-peer, the moment we realize that is the moment we realize that we have the power to set ourselves free from governments and censorship and having our privacy and our freedoms taken away.
Yeah, well said. And even, you made a good point. They created a patch to get around the censorship in Egypt, but of course it's still relying on a centralized system. But even centralized system aside, I'm not saying this is universally true, but creating a patch to fix a sort of ad hoc problem like that can in itself be problematic or create a vulnerability, right? Like if you're not building it from the ground up, it can potentially create bad code or other vulnerabilities. Am I right at all?
Absolutely. In fact, I am notorious for finishing up my DemoNSAw launches 2-3 a.m. in the morning at DEF CON. Even tonight, we were putting the final, as you guys are aware, I put 2 or 3 fixes into Enigma even today, and I had given you guys an early access preview last night. So programmers naturally want to provide as much benefit to the end users for the products we create. I want to give you as many bells and whistles as possible. I want the experience to be as awesome for you as I can make it. And so we're driven to give you as many features as possible. Well, with that comes greater risk. in my computer science courses, I remember taking this test course, and I remember the professor sharing a ratio. Every 4 or 5 fixes to the code that are introduced by a programmer, a new bug is created. So if you really think of that 4-to-1, 5-to-1 ratio, anytime we mess with the code or we do something different, there's a chance that we could have downstream effects, and those effects would be negative. So yes, anytime you do something like a patch, you could be either compromising the security, compromising the performance, or compromising the stability of the application as a whole, which is why